Every time I looked at my sister, I felt only anger and resentment. Like right now, for example. My parents bought her a cool tablet, even though she's only 7 years old. And they bought it for no reason at all. Meanwhile, I'm walking around with an old phone and a laptop that barely works. This is not the model I wanted. Will started to get cranky. It's the most expensive one they had in the store, Dad answered. It's garbage! My sister screamed and ran off, tossing the box carelessly. Oh, I am so tired of these tantrums. My name is Liz, and this is the story of how my perfect life ended when my little sister was born. Until I was 11, I was the happiest child in the world. My parents loved me dearly. They spoiled me a lot, paid a lot of attention to me. I was showered with their love. But all that changed drastically when my mother suddenly got pregnant. Actually, I never wanted a brother or sister, seeing how my friends were forced to babysit them. I somehow didn't feel like doing it, so I was glad my parents weren't planning on having a second child. But when they did decide, no one asked my opinion. I remember how upset I was with the news of my mom's pregnancy. I was crying and screaming that I was going to live with my grandmother, already imagining how all the parental love would go to my little brother or sister. Darling, we'll love you just the way we always did, Mom hugged me. We won't have any favorites. You will both get enough attention. I had no choice but to believe them. And during Mom's pregnancy, my life was still perfect. We even went to Disneyland, except I threw up after going on rides for so long. And then there was that creepy Mickey Mouse that kept scaring me. It was like that mouse was chasing me, as if he knew I'd hated him since I was a kid. So, let's get back to my perfect life. It was like my parents were trying to prepare me for the arrival of the baby. They granted my every wish. I felt like a little princess, just missing a rainbow unicorn. But then came the big day my parents had been waiting for, which I had marked black on my calendar. Mom went to the hospital to give birth, and my dad stayed with me. I thought childbirth was easy, and I didn't understand why my dad was so worried. A few hours later, Mom sent us a picture of herself with my little sister. Dad was so moved, he even cried. He showed me the picture, but I didn't see anything touching, and even said that the child looked like a shriveled frog. My sister didn't evoke any warm feelings or emotions in me, rather despair, because I knew that my life had changed forever and there was no turning back. When my mother came home with Will, she showed me my sister and said, smiling broadly, "Here you go, Liz. Meet Will." She even offered me to hold the baby. I reluctantly agreed so as not to offend her, but I was too scared to hold a baby. I didn't see Will as a sister, more like an enemy or a competitor for my parents' attention. Although, what kind of competition are we talking about? When all Mom and Dad's attention was devoted to Will. Now they spent all their evenings with her, not me. We couldn't even have a normal conversation because Will was asleep and we had to whisper all the time. But for the first time, I got really fired up on the day when I invited my friends over. As they entered the house, my mother appeared and delicately explained to all of us that it was not the time for guests because there's a little baby in the house. We will sit in my room very quietly, I tried to convince my mother. You can do it some other time. Girls, I hope you understand me. No, we don't, I got angry. You had this baby for yourself. I didn't need it at all, and now I'm the only one who's suffering. My mother ended up getting so angry. She lectured me in front of my friends. Yes, and she banned me from the computer for 2 more days. I angrily ran to my room and turned on the music really loud to make sure Will woke up and started yelling. And so she did. Even though I was punished for it, I was happy. That's how my everyday life went. Over the years, I began to notice that my sister was not treated the way I was used to. From an early age, my parents had spoiled Will. I had to earn everything at her age. For example, if I wanted an electric scooter, I had to finish the school year with good grades. And Will got one when she was 6, just like that. When she started school, she wasn't punished for bad grades at all. Whereas I, in my day, my allowance got cut off. It's not fair. Why does she get everything for no reason? I got angry one day. Ugh, don't exaggerate. We buy you everything too, responded Mom. She paused for a second from playing dolls with Will. She didn't play with me like that, yes, but I have to earn it ever since I was a little girl. And she just had to be born to get all this stuff. Don't be selfish. That's all my mom said. It wasn't enough that Will had completely taken the attention and love of my parents. She also grew up to be a very naughty, spoiled brat. And she was always bugging me. She could easily eat a piece of pie that was meant for me, sneak into my room and put on my makeup. She also loved to put on my dresses and walk around the house in them. One time, she stained my favorite dress with lasagna, and that stain was impossible to get out. I need a lock on my door, I told my parents after that incident. She's younger. Let her have it. It's just a dress, said my father. It was actually my favorite dress, which I earned for myself. We'll buy you one later. But they didn't. They just forgot about the incident. But Will promptly got glowing sneakers. Just because she fell, banged her knee, and started crying. Then I got mad and ruined those sneakers by smearing paint on them that couldn't be cleaned off. Will burst into tears when she saw what had happened to her shoes, and I felt like a winner. I felt so proud of myself, like I'd set a new world record or won a medal in the Olympics. But my parents punished me for that prank. They said I was too old to make a little kid cry. And you didn't punish her for my dress. You'll be 18 soon, and she's only 7, Mother kept saying. So what? She already understands everything. She's doing it on purpose to spite me, to set me up, or just to ruin my mood. I don't want to hear any more of this nonsense, Liz. Stop harassing Will. Even now you're sticking up for her. You love her more than you love me. I had such a perfect life. But after Will was born, everything changed. You've changed, and your attitude towards me has changed. I am so sick of all of you. I locked myself in my room. A few minutes later, I looked out the window, and I saw my mother and Will get in the car. They came back an hour later with new glowing sneakers. Ugh! How my sister drives me crazy! She's some kind of baby boss in our family. My parents are her servants, fulfilling her every whim, and that little devil does nothing but take advantage of their love and messes with me. One day, she overstepped her boundaries. I invited a guy I was madly in love with to visit. He came over to help with a school project. We had a quick study session, and then we decided to sit in the living room and watch Supernatural on the big screen. But as soon as I sat down on the couch, there was a loud farting sound right across the living room. Catastrophe! Sam looked strangely in my direction, but didn't say anything, but he did move farther away. I pulled out a cushion from a joke store from the back of the couch, which Will had slipped me. She's dead. This is too much. After Sam went home, the whole neighborhood must have heard my screams. No, the whole town. I didn't even know I could scream so loud. My parents came running in and immediately began to comfort a crying Will without even understanding the situation. She set me up. How'd she do that? My mother asked wearily. I explained my situation, but my parents laughed. It was a joke, Liz. Don't take it so seriously. Humor? She embarrassed me in front of the guy I like. No, I accidentally left that pillow in the couch, Will cried. See, Liz, she didn't do it on purpose. Beautiful. How can they turn a blind eye to the obvious? I wondered for a long time why my parents started treating me this way, looking for something wrong with me. What if I'm really just so ugly and stupid that I just disgust them? But the truth was even worse. Once again, when I was at home alone with Will, my sister decided to get me again by throwing wet paper. Ha ha, that's what you get, she shouted. She hit me right in the face. And Mom and Dad won't do anything to me because I'm their baby and you're not. Very funny. Of course, I did not believe her. But after a couple of hours, I began to doubt. What if it is true? I worked up the courage and decided to talk frankly with my parents on this topic. At first, they were evading a straight answer. And then they admitted that they adopted me when I was a baby. My mom wasn't able to get pregnant for years. So my parents decided to take a baby from an orphanage. And then 10 years later, she got pregnant and Will was born. So that's what this is all about. I laughed nervously. I get it. I'm adopted. That's why you're treating me like this. We've given you all we can, dear. My father furrowed his brow. I was the one who had to do something to get something expensive. I had to try. I had to make an effort. Sometimes staying up nights to get my grades right. And she already got a cool tablet and a new phone at the age of 7. Out of resentment and disappointment, my eyes filled with tears. My parents were not ready to admit their mistakes. I left home for a few days. I stayed at a friend's house for a while and didn't return my parents' calls. Let them worry about me for a while. And then I came home with a huge desire to pack all my stuff, get a job, and get my own place. But Mom and Dad stopped me. They said that while I was gone, they understood a lot of things, talked to a therapist, and realized their mistakes. Liz, we love you very much. We were wrong. We made mistakes. And we're sorry. Mom hugged me. But I was so angry and hurt, I didn't say anything back. I just went to my room and decided I'd put off moving for a while. With my return, things changed in the family. My parents started paying more attention to me and got a little tougher on Will. They kept asking me how I was doing, and my mom even offered to take the two of us on a trip. I agreed. We went out of town to the lake where we could talk openly. Mom confessed that her biggest dream was to have a baby. And when that dream came true, she just lost her head in happiness. She fully plunged into taking care of Will, and then she drifted away from me without even realizing it. Listening to her, I realized that I still love my parents very much. And now I loved them even more when I found out they adopted me. We were able to understand each other, and our relationship got better. I even mellowed out a little bit with Will. How would you feel if you were in my shoes? Tell me in the comments. Like my story and share it with your friends so as many people as possible can see it.